G'day team, Josh here. Today I want to talk to you about hiring a GM. So I want to walk you through the process, why you should do it, why it's a good idea, at what point in business to do it, and I guess I want to outline my experiences of what we went through in terms of how to find the best person to take on that GM role in your business. So the reason I'm talking about this is, I guess we're looking at the roadmap and the pathway for our boardroom clients, and at what point to start to bring on people like a GM or an operations manager. And so, like in our experience, typically at around that 2 million to 3 million kind of mark in your business, your effectiveness as the business owner really starts to drop because everything still revolves around you. So like you've probably got a few team leaders in place at around that 2 to 3 million per year mark. You're probably still running and leading a few projects, which let's talk about in a separate video. And you probably still have all your fingers in every part of the business. But so there's only so much you can get done in any single day. And I think where I see business owners really burning out is that they're trying to wear all the hats in the business. They're trying to run the team leaders, run a few projects. They're still looking after maybe the accountant or the bookkeeper, still running financing. They're still looking after invoicing. They're still in charge of admin, insurances, all those sorts of things. And you're just as a business owner trying to juggle and keep all these balls in the air. And that's why, like at about that 2 to 3 million per year mark, your effectiveness starts to drop because you're trying to do too much. You're trying to keep all the balls in the air. But let's face it, like if you keep going that way, you're going to miss something. Something's going to break. Something's going to fall apart because everything is still on you. And so, like, if you want to keep growing past the 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 million per year mark, your focus as the business owner, like you've done an amazing job getting it to the 2 to 3 million per year mark, but your job as a business owner is not on delivery anymore. It is where is the business going? Where's the next big strategic opportunity for this business? Where's the next big client going to come from? How am I going to, structure the business to get there? And if you're still wearing all the hats and juggling all the balls, you're never going to get there because, it's always this case of whoever screams the loudest gets the most attention. And so if you're juggling all these balls and one drops, someone's going to scream, you're going to rush to fix it, and you're never going to get to focus on the big picture strategy and direction of your business. So if you're at that point where you are wearing all the hats, you are juggling too many things, and you've got a lot of people reporting to you, a smart next move would be to bring in a GM into your business. And look, these titles are interchangeable. GM, operations manager. I mean, typically operations manager is just purely operations of the business, whereas GM tends to look after overseeing all aspects of the business, looking after the team leaders, everyone reports to them, they look after HR, finance, all that sort of thing. And typically then as you grow, ops reports to GM. But for the case of this particular training or this video, I just want you to think about the GM as someone that's going to come in and be that intermediary between you and the technical delivery team, and that intermediary between you and HR and marketing and finance, those sorts of things. So the GM's going to take on running the day-to-day of the business to free you and or other directors in the business up to focus on bigger picture stuff. So when it comes to hiring a GM, so if you've gone tick, yes, that's our next move. Obviously, you've got to look at the finances because typically GMs are complete overheads to the business. So you've got to look at your profit margins, your finances, all those sorts of things. But 100%, like look, honestly, if you're running a really well-run business, 30% net profit margins on a 2, even 3 million per year business, you've got the buffer there to hire a GM at roughly the 150 to 170 kind of K mark to come into your business. So you've got to look at the finances and look at all of those sorts of things. You've also got to make peace with the fact that typically a GM, like I said, is got complete overhead to the business. I mean, I was working with an incredible business last year where I could see their right next move was to bring in that role into the business, and they're like, we can't justify it. It's like 160K or something like that. And I was like, but look at what all the directors are doing in the business. You're still running invoicing, you're still looking after the team, you're still talking to HR about employment contracts. If you break it all down and look at 150K salary over the course of the the year, that person's hourly rate compared to what you could be doing with that time is chalk and cheese. Like if you could be spending an hour jagging the next $500,000 contract or the next $200,000 contract or all those sorts of things, you've just got to think about the lost opportunity cost of your time. And so there's this whole concept that we talk to everyone on Boardroom about, buying back your time. Not my teaching, not my concept. There's an amazing guy in the US called Dan Martell who talks about buying back your time. But you've just got to look at that, buying back your time to focus on bigger picture stuff in the business. Anyway, got sidetracked. So the process for hiring a GM is very, very different to hiring a technical person. It's possible that you would have a good senior person in your team who is doing well technically, or maybe a project manager where you can see GM material or GM potential in terms of tapping them on the shoulder. Hey, do you want to take on this role in the business? That is possible. But more typically, it will be finding someone with a business background or a finance background to come into your business to kind of slot into that particular role. So for us, like in my consulting days, honestly, the best GM we ever had had no engineering background, hadn't run a consultancy before. He had a business background. He had run the operations of another business. I think he had a master's, like he had a commerce business degree or something like that. But yeah, a business background. He'd run the operations of another business. But the main thing was he was amazing with people at connecting, helping them feel safe, helping them trust him. Because what he did was he came in and he provided that link or that step between the directors and the day-to-day business. So all of a sudden we had this conduit or this circuit breaker between all of the fires and the questions and all the stuff that we were fielding as directors. It all went through him. And then a lot of the times they got diffused, a lot of times he could work it out. And it also meant that we weren't getting bothered as much. So it meant that we could really focus on the big picture strategy, the next big client, working on BD and marketing, all those sorts of things to take that business to the next level. Also M&A too, which was massive for us. So he was that interface. He would talk to the team leaders and go, how are your projects coming along? This one's not going so well. What's your plan to get that back on track? He would deal with HR, accounting, finance. It was absolutely incredible. And so he didn't have an engineering background at all, but he had a good business head on his shoulders, was great with people, and he was just willing to get in and learn. He had a growth mindset, not a fixed mindset. So I'm sharing that story because you don't have to have someone from an engineering background to come in and be a GM in your business. They just have to have a good head on their shoulders, be great with people, and be willing to learn your business and your industry. So I'm always a big believer in hire for cultural and value fit over technical experience, because the technical stuff can always be taught. So essentially he came in, he was that circuit breaker, he was that conduit, he ran all the elements of the business. He reported back up to the board in terms of weekly and monthly reporting, depending on what we needed to hear and learn about. And it just really freed the directors up to focus on then expanding the business operations and growing to that next level. So look, if that all sounds pretty good to you, that I would say that hiring a GM, or at least exploring it, is your right next move, because you can't keep doing everything. At some point, if you want to keep growing to that next level, you do need to invest in that kind of salary to grow to that next level. Someone really good to come in and take over the day-to-day operations and the runnings of your business, that you can get freed up to do what you love and what you're good at. Yeah, I think that's all I want to cover. So hopefully that's covered the journey, the story, as well as just sparked your interest a bit or piqued your thinking around whether that might be the right next move for you. So look, if you want to keep doing this journey on your own, we have a ton of free resources to help you do that in terms of the podcast, YouTube channel, website, all those sorts of things. Heaps of stuff there that's for free that you can, use to help grow your consulting business. But if you want to get some help, if you just want the shortcut, if you want to be shown what to do, shown the blueprint, shown the pathway, all these things that I talk about on the podcast, all available to you within Boardroom. So if that's you, if you want some help growing your consultancy and love to be part of an amazing community and get that help and support to grow your business with confidence, reach out. Let's have a chat about how we can help you grow your business faster through Boardroom. Have an amazing day.